Aloha, it's Mama Donna here. And while we wait for people to come in, I wanted to share some really not only beautiful scenery, but very exciting news. The whales every year migrate from Alaska, the humpbacks specifically. Several varieties of whales come, but primarily what we see here most often is the humpbacks. And today is November 18th, and I saw my first breach of the year several times. It was a single whale, meaning it was probably a male, and they usually come first, and then the pregnant mothers come and deliver their babies right out there, nurse them for about 4 months. Some get pregnant here. The most amazing thing about all of this is they fast the entire time that they're here. Sorry about the dog noise. Our guest is pulling in, actually. Dr. Harvey Eckhart will be on any minute. But I wanted to share that with you because today's dose of positivity, we do have a special guest, Dr. Harvey Eckhart. And he has been in integrative medicine for almost 40 years and is going to be answering any health concerns you have. So please put those health questions that you might have. I can't believe, Charlie, I see you. Alan, Charlie. Anyway, please start putting your questions in now. Last week, we got to almost all of them. And the sooner we have your questions in, the better, whether you're having allergies or you're recovering from COVID and want to have some suggestions of supplements to put in, whatever it is you are feeling, sluggish, tired, ask this kind man who is here to give you his expertise, and myself, who is a holistic health integrative nutrition graduate and have been coaching many people for years on diet and nutrition. So my goal in my desire to help people get healthy, and why we're doing a dose of positivity every week, is to help hold each other not only accountable, but I know that the healthier I am, the better I feel, the more energy I have to help others and to help Pachamama. The Mother Earth is suffering, as we know. It's a direct reflection of what's happening in our political system, our economy. If you haven't read my book, Conscious Cures, Solutions to 21st Century Pandemics, I give a much broader definition of what I'm talking about here. So my neighbor decided to mow. Hopefully you won't hear that. I see a lot of people are coming in, and I know that Dr. Eckhart just arrived, and he's going to be going in the other room. Harvey, are you on? Did I just see that? Oh, I love seeing you all coming on. Thank you so much for being here. Again, for the new people who just came on, Dr. Harvey, are you in here? Are you in the house yet? Okay, well, make sure we can see your face. We're seeing your forehead, Harvey. Move your screen. Move your screen so we can see your face. Thank you so much. Oh, you're so handsome. And we're both wearing green. Way better. So everybody just welcome. Everybody come off mute and say, aloha, Harvey.
Aloha, Harvey.
Aloha. Aloha to you all. I've got my purple smoothie shake that my daughter Alana Joy just whipped up for me for the show.
Oh, that's so amazing. And I have my tart cherry juice and lemon water. And here's Kat Havens in the house. Oh, gosh, Harvey, I'm so glad to see you. Guess what? I was just sharing with people while I was waiting for you to come in. Toast, Harvey. Cheers. Cheers. I was just sharing with everyone that I saw our first whale today. first humpback whale breaching on
Yes.
November 18th. It was very, very exciting. And I was
Wow.
talking about how it's so incredible how the largest mammals in the world come up here, use their mammary glands, meaning they have their young here, they nurse their babies, and they fast the entire time we're here. They're here, and how important one of the things that we're going to be touching upon is today is even just looking at just fasting in general, or not, or intermittent fasting is which I do pretty much. And I know some of you on the call, I've had discussions with you about that. But I just really wanted to wait till more people came in, and it seems like we have a really nice group on right now. So we're going to get started. And again, like, first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. Make sure you're hydrated. It's so amazing to see your face, Alan. Everybody go on mute now until you have questions. Never ever be shy about raising your hand or asking a question. Both Dr. Harvey and I are here with all our hearts and wisdom to share with anybody. So again, use the chat. And then Tel is in the house all the way from the Philippines, and she's monitoring people coming into the call. So and we'll be reminding them as well to ask questions. But Dr. Harvey, what I would love for you to do, other than the fact that the intro that I sent out all over social media, but to give a little bit of background of who you are and who you serve, and welcome people to ask questions, and then we'll move deeper into the discussion.
Thank you, Donna. I appreciate being here on this platform. I know the good work that you're doing, and I follow you on Instagram, and it's a fresh breath of spiritual and communing with nature that I tend to align with, and I love the way you present it both in a engaging manner. Yes, I have dedicated my professional career to what I call a lifestyle of vitality, and trying to get people to break the cycle of some of what they considered their inherited weaknesses. And we've learned over the years that only a small percentage of our genetic makeup controls our health, and that it's the environment and the choices we make every single day. And I'm happy to say that more and more people are waking up to the fact that they have more control than they think. When they turn their health over, when they turn their food supply over to other people, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. And then we had this big COVID pandemic, which sort of shined a light on self-reliance. It was telling people, take a moment, and you're staying home now. Why don't you, if you have a space, start growing some food, start fermenting, start making some smoothies and teas and the wonderful things, and spend more time outdoors rather than indoors inside your workplace and everything. So but my background came from growing up, believe it or not, in Florida, where I lived in Miami Beach from the time I was born till 18, and then had the opportunity to come out to California and stayed there for 35 years. Met my wife, and we put together a longevity preventative health clinic and raised two beautiful children up in the mountains of Sonoma County, wine country. And it became very obvious that when I treated patients in chiropractic and metabolic counseling, that lifestyle was going to be a determining factor of how people would get well, stay well. And you never know what life presents to you, but if you have a strong foundation, we use the term thickening the ice. And that has become more and more present in these times when we have these opportunistic viruses and stresses from the fallout from the COVID and all the quarantining and our both economy. And you talk about that in Conscious Cures, that we have more than one pandemic.
Right.
Economic, financial, mental. So building a strong foundation from the ground up. And it starts with the soil, with the food we put in our mouth. And if we start to take notice of our environment and how to treat it, that you eloquently say, living like the future matters, then our bodies and our minds tend to synchronize in a way where we tend to move more towards the scale of longevity rather than breaking down. And
Right.
one of the topics that you and I talked about, maybe I could shed some light on, would be our immune system, because it's
Right.
the immune system, the longevity of the vitality of the immune system, which really determines a lot of aging. And unfortunately, when we allow ourselves to become more degraded by not nourishing them, then they become what they call zombie cells, and they're out there, but they're not doing what they're supposed to. And then, like I said, we are more prone, more vulnerable to breaking down. Stress, which is sometimes intangible, you can have physical stress, but you can also have chemical stress, emotional stress. These all play a role in the aging part of the nervous system and the immune system. So I have learned recently and have followed closely the effect of mushrooms and how the medicinal mushrooms that are available to us have been very, very supportive for our immune system. You've heard of shiitake, reishi, chaga, and now for those people who are coffee drinkers, now you can have mushroom coffee. And they're also available both in your farmers markets, and they're available in extracts and tinctures. But what they do is they produce special beta globulins, which are antibodies that our body needs to help support this army of different cells for our immune system.
Right. And you know what, Harvey, can you just elaborate a little bit more when you talk about zombie cells, the difference between a zombie cell and a healthy cell? I think that's really important in the ratio of what we need to have a healthy immune system and microbiome. So can you elaborate on that?
Right.
I'll be
Well, the
right there.
zombie cells is like a zombie cell in our bloodstream is almost like a congested traffic situation where things are not moving and not going and surveying the bloodstream for invading microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, funguses, and like candida and other problems that can sometimes cause our immune system to degrade. So these zombie cells normally should be, there's a term called autophagy, where our body eats away the non-useful cells. It's like a garbage disposal system. But sadly, when our bodies are not being fed properly and our microbiome is not, and our mitochondria, which is the energy and the lungs of our cells, are not being supported. And this is part of the aging system that we have to be proactive with. These zombie cells tend to accumulate, and they created that congestion in the bloodstream, and we have poor removal of toxins, and then the organs like the colon and the liver and our skin and our lungs, they end up becoming more inefficient in their ability to cleanse. And so we believe that being proactive and taking care of our immune system in a proactive way by, first of all, eliminating foods that are carrying residues of GMO and pesticides, and feeding the soil, which I know from Soil to Soul Solutions hits it right on the mark. I'm not a big fan of hydroponics because to me that's IV drip of the plants. Why don't we feed the soil, and then the soil will feed the plants? Let's realize that that's what the way we will derive nutrients. And these zombie cells can be eliminated, but you have to nourish the body in a way so that you are tipping the scales in the right direction.
Right. And I love what you just said there, about feeding the soil. And like, I like to compare the soil as the skin of the earth, you know, that it's the most, and the skin is the largest organ, and it really needs nourishment, or it dries up like a desert, or it can get too oily, too saturated. But also comparing the soil to our gut microbiome and the relationship, how they're both so similar to each other. And in order to have really good bowel movements every day and digestion, optimum digestion, is same thing like the soil. It really, really matters what we put in our bodies, or we're going to feel that sluggishness. I don't know if you've ever seen the difference between a healthy compost and rotten food. It really stinks. And that is very true for many people when they go to the bathroom, right? Sorry, the phone's ringing here.
Well,
So
thank you for that. I want to stay on the immune system for a minute and say that there is a branch of science now called psychoimmunology, and we know that the happy hormones in our body, the serotonin, the dopamine, are also, the levels of it are controlled by our nutrition that we feed our bodies, and that there are certain natural plants and herbs to help us. And when people's personalities shift because of environmental and emotional issues that come up, and that's something we want us to pay more attention to. The immune system, they've shown that when you're depressed, you don't get enough sunlight, you don't get enough restful sleep. That also drags your immune system down, and we can reverse that. And I think it starts by waking up every morning and realizing that you have a choice.
absolutely.
Happiness is an inside job, and you don't have to wait for something outside you to make you happy. It starts from your own attitude of gratitude.
And also then followed up by what we put into our bodies and our minds to
Really
make
making better choices of what we eat. Now, I currently have a small 10 by 10, which is only 100 square foot garden, but I'm telling you, that's my happy place. When I wake up in the morning, I've got over 22 species of plants growing in that small area, and to watch them inch by inch grow. And I just left Dragon Heart Farms, where they have a vermiculture, a vermimeister who
right?
works with the worm castings, and I'm going to nourish them, which is high in magnesium, to keep the soil healthy so that the plants can provide me with the vitamin D and the vitamin K and all the minerals that our bodies need for our health.
And I love your mentioning the vitamins there, because so much of what's going on with COVID is the people who seem to be getting the sickest are depleted on those vitamins that you just mentioned right there: vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin K, zinc. And how maybe you can talk about this, but we do have one question in there, but I do want to get to that because COVID's all about building the immune system. But I love this because Jonathan has asked, you know, what are the benefits of coffee? He loves coffee. And when we're talking about the immune system in relation to like a high stimulant drink beverage like coffee, what's your take on that? Because I love coffee too. And
well, I have my own relationship with caffeine. And I feel that is not only is it a neurostimulant in a way where it helps you focus, and I don't know if you know this, but coffee is what helped drive the Industrial Revolution, all those hours in the factories. But here on the island, we are very blessed with coffee plantations and different types of coffee that grow. But it also can act as a liver detox. And there are special cells in the liver that are able to be stimulated to dump accumulated toxins to the liver and the gallbladder. So caffeine has an unlimited, helps you with elimination, but it also helps with the built up toxins in the gallbladder. But please make sure that you only purchase organic coffee. There was a study done down in South America where they found that people that purchased the Juan Valdez Uban coffee from Colombia and took this coffee and then roasted it, in America, and they had filmed showing that they were using banned dioxin and other crazy chemicals that we didn't use. So you're getting a double whammy by roasting these toxins and concentrating them. And no matter how good the commercials are, and Juan Valdez picks them by hand, please stay away from the coffee. And then when you do make your coffee, make sure it's filtered water, because unfortunately, many of the municipal food supply, water supplies are using chlorine or chlorine derivative compounds that are very invasive and attack our thyroid and other organs too. So even with watering your garden, sometimes you may, if you're not on your own well or something, you may have to consider using a filter that would help with watering your garden too.
Yeah, I'm not, that's so helpful. Thank you for that. And Kat Haber's asking about, what about coffee dependency, like any kind of an addiction? Like, I just want to chime in on that. Yeah, I mean, if you're drinking coffee all day, it becomes a dependency, and that really means that your adrenals are totally depleted. Your thyroid is probably not functioning properly.
It's definitely going to mess with your adenosine receptors. Adenosine is a receptor that gets you ready to go into the melatonin phase, which is getting more sleep. But coffee, the caffeine occupies that receptor. And there's two types of coffee drinkers. There's fast metabolizers and slow metabolizers. If you're a slow metabolizer, it will probably remain in your body for 9 hours. But I've met patients who lived in Nicaragua and Salvador, and that's a nighttime routine. They have a cup of coffee and they don't have a sleep disturbance. So it gets back to biochemical individuality. But I agree with you, anything in excess is not healthy. The longest living people in the blue zones, they all believe in moderation.
Yes.
But I think caffeine is a healthy contributor to your daily routine, but you need to check in with yourself. If it's starting to interrupt with your sleep pattern, then you may need to alternate. Chicory root, which is a prebiotic that feeds our probiotics, can sometimes be a healthy coffee substitute. They're now making mushroom coffee, and I think it's nice to rotate. I think getting caught on one thing alone. And then the other thing that I've studied a lot and probably don't have time to go into is pH balancing. If you drink too much coffee, it is acid forming, and it can even chelate iron and other minerals out of our bodies. So make sure that you balance it with a lot of alkalinizing food, which are your fruits and vegetables primarily, and melons and things like that. So
Yeah, can I just chime in too? And like, especially Jonathan, I know you drink coffee all day, and I've mentioned this to you before. One way to cut back on coffee, and is really important, because what Dr. Harvey just said, is when you drink a cup of coffee, is if you chase it down, or through the course of the day, where for every cup of coffee, you drink 2 cups of water. Because sometimes you're drinking because you think you're thirsty, or you're cold, but it's really important because it is a diuretic, and you might. So were you going to say something, Alan?
It's a dehydrant, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
dehydrate, right. Thank you. Yeah, and so for people who are having issues with their adrenals, the first thing I suggest is back off on the caffeine until you can get yourself not feeling like you're dependent, like Kat was saying, feeling dependent on caffeine. So what my husband and I do is we'll have a cup or 2 in the morning, and then if I feel like I want more coffee in the afternoon, which I never do anymore, I use this product called Dandy Blend, and it's a mixture of dandelion root is one of the healthiest things you can do for just it's a medicinal herb. It shows up in many Chinese formulas, and so
it's available also in a tea bag form with chai. So,
Mhm.
which is a form of black tea, but the point you're making is very well. Consider rotating, consider
Yes.
eating your water. I like to drop a little bit of slices of lemon, cucumber, oranges in my water bottle, and then I eat my water that way too. Because they're very high in water content.
But and, you know, it is really interesting too. This is sometimes, you know, you just want coffee because you want to feel warm. And there's so many things you can do, like this cherry drink that I'm having, maybe not a smoothie, but a lot of in the evening, I will have it, I will warm it up. And so, and everything in our diet, like you always say, Dr. Harvest, eating the colors of the rainbow, it goes with our beverages too. It's all part of that, infusing our water, just throwing in some berries in our water and lemon and letting it sit for a little while. And it draws out more vitamins and minerals from the fruit that you can assimilate faster. So there's lots of ways to get more nutrients in that don't cost us a lot of money and are easy things to do, because it is complicated. Like, and this is something, you know, as questions keep coming in, we'll jump to the chat and answer them. But what I was hoping you could talk about right now too, because we're going into this cold and flu season, and we're hearing all over the media about the COVID spiking and vaccinated people versus non-vaccinated people. And, you know, we're finding that, you know, I don't know, I'm surprised at how many people don't know this, but unvaccinated people are dying. Unvaccinated people are getting sick at much greater levels than they ever imagined or anticipated at this time. And now they're talking about booster after booster. And for me, a dose of positivity around all of this is exactly what we're talking about. What my next question brings us to is, what can we, what is a good protocol for all of us to have a strong immune system, and in not, whether we're vaccinated or not vaccinated, we carry the virus wherever we go if we're in contact with it. And I think everybody on here is well aware of that. But more as we see this happening, I have found, like, even with people that I know, Harvey, and I know you and I have had this discussion too. I mean, people think, well, I'm vaccinated. Well, I don't have to do that. You know, they feeling like I'm protected. Right.
That's same thing with people who have diabetes. They have insulin or the metformin, and they still don't take care of their diet. I'm going to say this, that people need to take a really close look at what are the susceptibility factors in their life, and then what are their resistant factors. It's like bank withdrawals and deposits. Your deposits are your resistant factors. But let's start with withdrawal factors. That could be not enough sleep, a little bit too much alcohol, a little bit, smoking, not enough sleep, and probably more important than anything else is not enough fresh air, water, sunshine, communing with nature, because that in itself spikes the immune system and gets it healthy again. I know when I'm in my garden, I'm mixing my hands in the soil, I'm getting all those beneficial microbes working with my skin, and it creates almost a euphoria endorphin response. So we need daily endorphin releases, and it doesn't come from, recreational drugs. It comes from lifestyle choices.
Absolutely.
But people are, a lot of people are caught up in, well, if it's available in the supermarket, then it has to be healthy. No, I'm sorry to say, a lot of these big supermarkets are not food stores. They're almost disease food stores, because they carry all the food that's made in factories that are artificially made and are not contain all the whole foods that our ancestors grew up on.
Can I just stop you right there? I want to just read this really quick. This is in the book Conscious Cures. It's just a quote I have at the very top. Humans have strayed so far from the notion that food is medicine, they think it's reasonable to place pharmacies in our food markets. Think about that one.
And sadly, we have looked towards vaccines and drugs to control our immune system as supposed instead of working on a daily basis to build that, thicken the ice, that strong foundation. And every season has its strengths and weaknesses as we approach the winter. Yes, there's more flus, there's more cold weather, except here in Hawaii. And so we do need to be proactive to thicken the ice. And, there are a lot of herbal teas and things like astragalus and ginseng and other things that are what we call adaptogens. We're
Ashwagandha.
now learning ashwagandha, rhodiola. We're learning more and more. It's these stress plants that help our immune system jumpstart them so that we are one step ahead. And if we have a dysbiosis going on in our microbiome because we tend to be unconscious of the different food combinations or the sources, maybe we're fiber deficient, then we're not also producing enough immune cells and serotonin, which is produced in our microbiome. So it does get back to what resistant factors we consciously, as you put in your book, Conscious Cures, that we take active daily steps to support our immune system. I mentioned zinc, which is very involved in to help with diminishing colds. Elderberry, which has gotten a lot of news as far as helping support with the cytokines, which are part of the breakdown when the immune system is acting against the virus. And I do really believe that our mental attitude will affect that. Psychoimmunology is going to be so critical. How we plan our days, what percentage of it is outdoors, what percentage is indoors, our relationships that we have. As you know, I'm very immersed in my music. It's my expression. It's a combination of my stress release, and it's also a way for me to give gratitude back to the things that I take in on a day-to-day basis.
Great. Well, that is so great. And what I'm going to ask Tel to do right now is if you could put the Conscious Cures guide, the link in the chat for that, because it's kind of what Harvey was referring to. It's a free guide with 33 conscious cures. If you haven't seen it yet, it's really helpful, kind of laying out daily things that we can do. We are going to be going into another wave. And one of the questions in the chat right now, and I don't want to get into this debate over vaccines, he's asking what we think of the vaccine. And I just wanted to ask Tel also, I just watched this movie the other night. It came out, I think, in 2005. It's called The Constant Gardener. And they were looking at a lot of things that are happening now, but just it's sort of like not the vaccine that's the problem. It's the food and drug company. I mean, they put pharmacies in our drugstores. They, in the department, in our government, they put food and drug in the same department, not even honoring giving food its own department. So the pharmaceutical companies are making billions and billions of dollars, not just on the vaccine. And my problem with it is how fast everything happened. My problem is that so many people who have gotten the vaccine are getting sick and dying. My problem is that it's not like what I think about the vaccine, it's what I think about this conversation right now. It's taking, like you started out, Harvey, at the very beginning, taking responsibility for our health. We know that all of these major diseases that are out there, including COVID, are attacking the immune system. And it should be on the top of our minds. Like you said, first thing you wake up in the morning, and if everybody could do me one huge favor right now. It would make me so happy. I'm going to ask everybody on this call right now to smile as hard as you can, as big and as happy as you can.
Take a big breath, because like the word aloha,
and smile. Because you know what? When you do that, your endorphins go
stress
up.
release.
You naturally are working on enhancing your immune system. We all eat, we can all smile, we can all frown. But I mean, these little actions of building our immune system are for real, because a lot of it is it's a mental attitude. I know some of you live with hypochondriacs, or maybe a hypochondriac yourself, and that's just all this negative feedback that's relayed.
Nobody wants to talk about the fear of false evidence as appearing in real. And not that I am oblivious to the fact that many people have lost their lives and loved ones, and it's very disheartening. But we need to pull up our bootstraps and our suspenders and realize that we have more control of our food supply, of our health, of our immune system, the people that we allow in our inner sphere. And by that, we can make some good choices. And that then is a trickle-down effect to the way we live our lives, and our dreams and our imagination, and allow that to catch on fire. Because that's, to me, it's not how many years you live, but the quality of the years you live, and how you continue to pursue your dreams and your function, your purpose here on the planet.
That is so beautifully said. Thank you. And you guys, usually we try and keep these calls to a half an hour, 45 minutes. And if you have any questions about, so one of the things we were going to touch upon is, well, we touched upon how unity in our community builds our immunity, and we're coming into this holiday season right now. And we all know that hugging and loving people is super ono and really good for our immune systems. When we feel that love, and we can feel that stress releasing when we're around people, that
Oxytocin
is so good for our immune systems. So but we're coming into, for 85% of the population, this is just a statistics from Psychology Today, this is the most stressful time of the year. And we all know that stress is the #1 killer, and is the #1 thing affecting our immune system. We're also coming into a new wave, cold weather. Let's just leave people, unless we get some more questions, with real tangible things they can do. And then once you go, I want to share some really good ones that I also have. So let's give people, you can guys take out your phones, type it in, put it down, and ask any questions you have. Now's the time. But Harvey, just like make it super simple. You said about waking up, but what are some of those purple foods like we're starting out with? What are some real tangible things besides smiling and reducing stress, taking zincs, like you mentioned at the
Well, I want people to connect with, if they can't grow their own food, connect with their local sustainable farmers markets, develop a relationship with them so they know where their food supply comes from. And then in the cold weather climates, let's start off with some warm teas, elixir teas, like you mentioned, dandelion, green tea, moringa. I usually make a little brew, and then I throw in a little bit of hibiscus, which is loaded in vitamin C. I'll put in a big thermos. Another thing that a lot of the experts are talking about these days is saunas. And even though a lot of the clubs, the health clubs are closed down, but if you're fortunate enough to get a chance to go in a heat sauna, that helps with your heat shock proteins to give your immune system a boost. But warm the body up. So I know, Donna, you're a fantastic cook, and you probably have so many cool recipes of warm winter soups where you throw everything in the kitchen sink in, whether it's a root soup or a legume soup. And that's another way to nourish the body. Getting some exercise. You don't have to jump on a treadmill go barefoot and ground and walk with the sun shining at the right time of the day, and make sure you rehydrate. I am on a daily vitamin regimen where I take essential fatty acids. I have my probiotics. I also, because I'm plant-based, I take a iron supplement from plants, not the compound of iron, but yellow dock and other high iron-rich plants. I take my adaptogens, and I also believe in vitamin A, D, C, and K, along with B vitamins. So these are the most important things. And then when you eat, practice the blue zone harikari bow with the Japanese. When you're 80% full, pull away from the table, because that'll allow your microbiome not to be, and your mitochondria to be constantly ramped up, having to break down all your food products. And you mentioned intermittent fasting. I did a 35-day liquid fast, and the best thing besides losing a lot of weight was the mental clarity. And I know the mental clarity came from the intermittent fasting and my microbiome functioning more appropriately. I'm not suggesting that everybody, I'm 70 years old, everybody can do it, and doesn't have to be 35 days, but sometimes 1 or 2 days in a row can shift your metabolism to where it's not having to play catch up all the time. And during that time, I had no dairy and no coffee and everything, and it made a big difference. The
This
other
is great.
thing is,
Go ahead. You were just
well, the
breaking up.
other things
There's a
is
lot
that-
of things. There's just a lot of really good comments coming in on the chat. And I just wanted to address that and tell, would you please put in the link to the culinary classes? And you guys, while you're on here, I don't know if everybody knows how to get into the chat. If you would do me the honor of going in when she puts this link in, if you haven't already filled it out, it's a list of these immune system building culinary classes that we have coming up this winter. And just take the survey, and I would be so grateful if you're interested to do that. I would really appreciate you guys all doing that. But we have the Zoom user, I don't know what your name is, but this is great. She says, please share your daily food log in a schedule of self-care. And what I would like to say is, this is my daily log, and I'm 64. I have more energy than I've had in eons. Of course, living in Hawaii definitely helps. But I do intermittent fasting pretty much. I get up in the morning, I have my coffee, I have my tart cherry drink with lemon water or some other really refreshing nutrient dense liquidy form. And then I do a protein shake, and I'm actually a Purium fan. And so I use the superfood Purium shake, and it's amazing. And when I make my shake, you're supposed to use just water, but I make bone broth. So I keep always bone broth refrigerated. Bone broth is loaded with minerals out the yin yang that you can't even get from almost any supplement unless you're grinding down bones. It's so potent, and that's one of the courses I'll be teaching is bone broth, flu stews, and soups. So I put the bone broth in with this power shake and a little water, and off I go for a walk and a swim. And then I allow myself to have as much fruit as I want through the course of the day, because the fruit is really alkalining, and most of us are, another reason where our immune systems are so compromised is because we're eating a highly acidic diet with processed foods, more meats, so sodas, whatever, that just a cocktail of things that make us, we don't want to be too alkaline, but we absolutely don't want to be acid, creating inflammation in our bodies. So after I have my shake, then I'll allow myself to eat almost anything I want from like noon or 1 o'clock until around 6 o'clock. So that's when I have my main meal. And if I am going to eat a little bit of animal protein, I will have it during that time. Mostly what I eat is fruits, vegetables at this time, some or only organic grains.
Lots
that
of ferments too, right?
Oh yeah, and every day fermented foods are in my diet, and that's another one of the culinary classes. I'll be teaching lacto fermented vegetables, teaching you how to make beet kvass, fermented lemons, pickles, sauerkraut, tarragon tomatoes, fermented everything, and it's a hilariously fun educational class full of culture. So after I do that, thanks for bringing that up, Harvey. After I then like at 6 o'clock, this is when I'll have if I feel like I'm a little hungry, I'll have my dandy blend. I'll just make sure if I need to eat a little something more, I'll have it then. And then after 6 o'clock, the only thing I'll have is maybe an apple with a couple of walnuts, or just a little bit of fruit. And I never count calories. Maybe I should, but it's that I feel so much better in my skin. And I'm also doing a lot of the Purium supplements, which is, I've never had long nails before. And I'm just thrilled with how I'm feeling around
The proof is in the plant then, right?
The proof is in the plant. So yeah, nutrient dense local organic foods throughout throughout that 6 or 8 hour period during the course of the day.
Let me just add on to that, let's not underestimate the phytonutrient colors of the rainbow and how we need to take a little extra time when we do our shopping list. How much purple are we eating? Are you getting purple cabbage, purple onions, purple cauliflower, broccoli? It's available. And they contain the anthocyanins, which have been shown through studies to help with the arteries to clear out, which we know cardiovascular disease is one of the biggest killers on the planet. There's a phytonutrient gap that exists in America. 80% of Americans are deficient in the color of purple. And then we have our orange foods, which we know are very high in beta carotene for our eyes, for our skin, for our lungs. And we need to, resource them in many different ways, whether it's oranges, carrots, peppers, apricots, mangoes. The yellow, which people are not aware of, turmeric, bromelain from pineapple,
right,
and summer squash. These phytonutrients are anti-inflammatory. And what all the studies are showing is one of the common core of diseases, and which affects our immune system, is the inflammatory cascade. So let's be proactive. Let's feed our body what it needs and eliminate all the additives and the things that make our body work overtime, our liver, our kidney, that flood our detoxification pathways. And then we will become much more healthier and much more vibrant. And then one last thing I want to say, and this is based on a lot of the Italian studies. There's a saying, nobody gets old around the table. Let's eat together as a family unit again, and let's make a celebration of our meals together rather than one person on a cell phone, the other watching TV and doing takeout, which sadly is more common than we would like to admit. And
yes.
So every chance you have to be able to join together with your loved ones or invite friends and family to share a meal and provide all these nutrient colors, that is feeding your immune system more than you know.
Well, good. I have a question then for you about specific color for asthma. Jonathan's asking about what specific foods, immune builders for as people with asthma.
Well, with my nutritional training, asthma can also be a pH problem of acid alkalinity in the body and the ability to get more oxygen in there. So for the foods, you would be more protective with both green and orange foods. So when you wake up, if you have access to sourcing more orange colored foods that are high in beta carotene that protects the epithelial lining of your lungs. I'd also recommend that you see a chiropractor. In my 35 years of practicing, especially during the spring when all the pollen was out, a lot of people would come in with complaining of breathing. And if your upper thoracic, upper back area is congested or compressed, having an adjustment will allow the nervous system to expand the lungs better and release a lot of that constriction in your lung cage.
Absolutely. And the other thing too with asthma that's super important is breath and meditation and just calming the vagus
Breathing
part of the
and
central nervous system down. And I know that asthma and most allergies are coming from leaky gut and having not being able to assimilate all the nutrients that we're getting. And so when we clean up that gut microbiome, a lot of asthma problems can go out the window. So really changing our diet and our mindset.
You're right about allergies because I've had many people take a sulfur amino acid called cysteine, and that works against allergies, and it cleared up a lot of their asthma and breathing issues.
And what some people have been also putting in the chat, which is so true, is one of, what role does nature play in healing the journey? And
Forest bathing, the Japanese have been involved with that for many years, and it seems to help with autoimmune diseases. And that basically means you take a very slow, mindful walk into your local woods or forest, and you enliven all your senses. You look at the texture of you feel the texture of the different plants, trees, shrubs, bushes. You observe all the birds and you hear all the sounds, and then you sit down and you meditate in that environment and drink a nice cup of tea from one of the local plants. And that has an effect that's hard to describe, that has baffled so many immunologists in helping hard to cure autoimmune conditions.
Nature therapy has proven to being one of the most underrated and the most highly successful ways to heal just about anything. And like you were talking about earlier about grounding and just being out in nature. And I know that not everybody, I know some people here are living where it's super polluted and you don't want to go outside and breathe the air. And that is really a crime. And most cities are so polluted. And even if the air looks clean, all the cars and the carbon monoxide. So it's as important as all get out. If you can, get on a bus or do whatever you can to get out into nature as much as possible. And the other thing that I recommend to my clients, because this is so important. I mean, people are spending more time on the screen and they're spending more time watching movies, etc. And when my husband and I sit down to watch a movie, I insist that I am looking like out of Africa, right? Or even
all the timepieces, you go there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just look visually seeing green, like even the green behind Harvey. Wearing bright colors is super important for your immune system, because if you feel good and this is in conscious cures too, just thinking and bringing yourself there with meditation and beautiful, the music that we listen to ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, music therapy is going viral as far as the way it's been affecting both nervous system disorders, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and depression. And it doesn't matter what genre of music you resonate with, but you started in the womb with a heartbeat and your mother's heartbeat, and it's deeply in there. And for me, and I've told my patients that singing, whether you sing in the shower or outdoors, is a wonderful form of self-therapy, and surrounding yourself with people that are creative with music and enjoying their arts and everything can be a very, very enriching. It doesn't matter where you are. You can seek it out and it will reward you.
That's so great. Hopefully not rap. I love that. Charlie, hey, you can do rap and you can sing about all those things and not rats. You can talk about things that are really rap. So till I see there's an iPhone entering the waiting room, maybe we only have like 5 minutes, but what I wanted to uh, mention on top of nature and singing and smiling and putting nutrient dense foods, not drinking too much coffee, but just enough. In summary, drinking and eating all the colors of the rainbow, often doubling up your fluids when you're drinking coffee, when you're in front of the screen too. And also when you're in front of the screen, getting these glasses that have a little blue tint on them. Anything you can do to protect and fortify yourself for what's coming.
The one thing that I know you're a big fan of is finding your purpose.
Yes.
And waking up with that purpose in life can be life-changing. It doesn't have to be, you have to run a big business, but for some people, that purpose can be just simply making a phone call to a friend who's lonely or volunteering somewhere. And
Yes.
when you have that purpose, that seems to be a driving force for people with their well-being, their health. They feel connected.
Unity and
involved.
community builds our immunity, right? And
Absolutely.
tell, I'm just sorry, real quick. I don't know the name of this person. They're just coming under Zoom user to everyone. She wanted the name of the protein shake. Can you give her the link to the link to the Purium protein shake and how and give her my give her my email so I can help her if she wants to get, or him. I'm not sure there isn't a name there. So yeah, and Jonathan really thanks you for the advice, and we all
just take care of your mind and your body structurally with good wellness, healthcare, chiropractic, massage, nutrition, and treat your mind, pamper yourself mentally on a daily basis so that you don't get sucked into the industrial news and the whole complex that unfortunately is very agenda driven.
And very toxic. And we're trying to anti-inflammatory detox, like Charlie Allen was saying. Yeah, we need to express ourselves out at every direction that we can, getting rid of any kinds of negativity and dispersing it in such a way that it doesn't come out in anger and rage or diarrhea or whatever. It comes out gentle. Like being gentle is so important, and it's a key element in building our immune system. Being gentle with ourselves, and then being gentle with others, being gentle with our pets, gentle with nature.
Sounds like a lot of joy, gratitude,
Yeah,
love.
and inspiration. Yeah. And I just want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Next week, we have another guest. Now I'm pretty sure either Natalie Young is coming on, who's a yoga Pilates expert, and she's 75 years old and she looks like she's 50. And she'll be showing us and just talking about well-being and movement of our body and our posture and being in alignment with, like digestion, it starts in our mouth, right? And really, when you think about it, it really starts in our minds, just like the words we come out of our mouth, right?
Making good choices.
Making good choices in our mind, and then chewing our food at least 30 times. The flavor's better. It's a prebiotic. You're digesting your food in your mouth. I can't even express how important that is for reducing stress and taking advantage of all the nutrients that you can absorb in your body. There's so much to cover, and we have more calls to come. We'll be doing Harvest, is there anything else while Harvey's doing his closing remarks? I would like to really invite all of you, and I think some of you have already done it, please to fill out that survey if you're interested in the culinary classes. They're going to be amazing. For every class that people pay for, you're going to get a free gift ticket for the holiday season to give to someone else. And for every purchase that you make, I am committed to giving away classes to anybody who cannot afford them. So this isn't about like, wow, this is oh, I'm going to make all this money on culinary classes. This is about how do we help as many people build their immune systems as possible. So these classes are not just going to be, oh, this is how you make sauerkraut, or this is how you make sourdough bread or bone broth or batch cooking or the most decadent healthy desserts you've ever eaten. It's going to be about, everything I write about in my books too, social and environmental justice in our kitchen. It's going to be about building unity and community. So I really
just want to say that you have found your purpose, and everybody has their own individual purpose. It doesn't help to compare yourself to anyone, but when you take the time out to relax and allow yourself to enjoy life as nature intended,
It's home, so we should.
good things start to come in, and you will make the right choices for yourself. And it's like contagious. The compassion that you present to people will come right back at you.
That's great. That is so
I believe that, and I see that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I
thank
love
you so much for doing the work that you do and allowing me to come on at this platform. And I'm a very big fan of your work and the books you've written, and I will continue to write more songs for you.
Oh, you are so incredible. And Harvey's music was in the background of all our videos. He's done amazing music for this. And it's just so nice. Like, we have a little tribe here, so just even on these dose of positivities, whether it's 10 or 20 people, it is so beautiful. And I love what Alan has shared in here. Every 7 years, your body has replaced old cells with new cells. Why do you grow old and pass over to bigger, better places? That is so true. And you know what? That is a really good discussion, Alan. I think we're like, I'd really like to bring Dr. Melissa Peterson back on. She's a longevity expert and epigenetics specialist. And we're going to bring her on, and I'm going to make sure you're on that call, because she has all the scientific data behind that, as well as articulating it really well, the less that we've already gone past our time. But I definitely want to adjust that. And I want to see all of us, I don't usually say one, I'm choosing that all of you have an amazing day. Again, thank you again for those of you who have filled out the survey. I really appreciate it. And coming to the classes and learning more from Dr. Harvey and the other speakers who are going to be joining us. We will meet next week, and then the following week is Thanksgiving. So more than ever, a little bit of intermittent fasting, lots more water, more nutrient-dense foods, more of the things that Dr. Harvey has suggested we do. Build your immune system. If you are planning on gathering or doing things, just be smart. I don't care if you're vaccinated, boosted up. You're just as much in jeopardy as the next person. We all just need to be very, very mindful of this. We got each other's back, and I don't see any more questions coming in that we have to do. And Harvest, I just thank you so much for honoring me, honoring the process, honoring everybody on the call, answering people's questions. And I so look forward to having you back on again. And mahalo to you all for showing up, and we'll see you next week. Spread the word, spread the love, and stay healthy, everyone. Big love.
Nice to see you.
Well, next week is Thanksgiving, so you probably mean
Oh, it's
after
next week. Yeah, I meant after Thanksgiving. Oh, thank you, Melissa. Melissa just had both her hips replaced, Harvey.
Oh my gosh.
Melissa, come on and tell us how you're feeling and what you're doing.
I am feeling quite well. I went down 2 flights of stairs today, so I'm going to be ready to go out for my physical therapy sessions on Monday. And so I'm drinking a lot of water. I am doing my exercises. I am icing a lot of ice on my swollen hips and thighs. And yeah, so I think I'm doing everything right, because the physical therapist came today and she goes, "You're like a different person from the first time we started."
Yay.
So I think I'm healing with leaps and bounds.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
so awesome, honey. Oh, that's
And
so
I am doing pain control, so I am taking pain pills, but I'm actually reducing them and gradually, cutting back on those as I can.
And you
But it's
can
only
eat those
been not even
inflammatory.
2 weeks yet. Sorry.
I was just going to say, you can eat more of those anti-inflammatory yellow foods, the pineapples, the turmeric, the mangoes. Keep up with that.
Anti-inflammatories.
Coming right from your food, you can put them in your body, let them circulate. That'll
Thank you.
damp it down.
Appreciate all that good advice.
And
Go buy
Melissa,
some pineapple right now.
bromelain. And Melissa is an incredible musician. Make sure you're
Yes.
playing music and singing.
Thank you. I'm going
And
to start that again soon. I
Good.
miss
And
that.
I think that will be so helpful, honey. Just get into your music. And Lisa and Rebecca and some of you other people on here if we don't have your emails, would you please drop them in the chat right now so we can keep you up to date if we don't have your email? We send out beautiful newsletters with incredible pictures and share what's happening, not just here for the dose of positivity and the other things we're doing, but the other great work that other thought leaders, change makers, and holistic practitioners are bringing to the world. So if you want to stay up to date, please join our Facebook group. Tal will put that in the chat too. And we love people to go into the Facebook group. And if you're doing an event that's positive, holistic health or nature therapy, or of a really wonderful thing, we like to keep our group informed, and you're welcome to post anything positive in the group. So I don't know if you guys can see this goat in the distance. Oh my God, it's so adorable.
He's a happy
What a
goat,
beautiful
right?
day out there, huh? Looks like a gorgeous day.
It is so gorgeous. Melissa, did you hear? I saw a breaching whale today. So they're here. I saw a breaching whale today. The whales are here.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
I can't wait till I can get out there again here. I saw
Yeah.
Kevin walking without any crutches behind you a while ago.
I know he was. I'm just bringing you guys over to see this rack of banana that's out our bedroom window. See, I don't know. Can you see that rack of banana? And then we've got oranges on the trees. We have so much immune system building stuff right here at our fingertips. And now the day goes by that I never take it for granted. And it's how blessed we all are. So we can manifest. I never thought in a million years when I was a young girl that I was going to have the opportunity to live such a life. And so I think that's part of building our immune system is, like Harvey said, having a purpose and having direction and really making things happen. And sometimes we think it's impossible, but the people who have done many, many impossible things, and you and I are those people too. So we want to make it happen. So Tel, I'm going to go ahead. We got a few new messages. Anybody who wants to get a hold of anybody on this call, or you want to download the chat right now, that's something I forget to tell people every time. If you want to get save the links, go ahead and download the chat, and we'll see you all next Thursday. No. Happy holidays. Yeah. And remember, when you go for that second piece of pecan pie, that it's okay. Don't stress out.
We have Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Which should be every week, but it happens to be officially celebrated next week.
Don't feel like, you have to go pig out, but we don't want to give ourselves a hard time, right? It's the 80-20 rule. And it's okay to celebrate once in a while with all the healthy stuff and that we're talking about, which is so, so important. As long as we're doing it at least 80% of the time, but hopefully it's organic pecan pie, and it's especially the crust is gluten-free, or you're using heritage grain wheat to make the crust. It's really, there's so many ways we can do these things. Go for that second helping of mashed potatoes with real butter, not margarine, and
Mushroom
real
stuffing
potatoes and mushroom stuffing, right? Mushrooms, yeah, the
and
G
some
bomb.
of Kevin's bread.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we it's okay. Enjoy every bite. And the thing that's the coolest thing about this method of chewing 30 times, Kevin and I were even just reading an article about this. You chew for 30 times and it's almost exactly 30 times. It's almost like, how the food chemists have figured out when you eat like a certain chew, you eat a cookie and you just can't stop eating them, or chips, and they kind of like the food chemists have figured out
Excitatory chemicals, you're right.
it kind of expresses in your mouth and it kind of explodes in your mouth and it feels like, oh, like starburst or something, and you just want more and more. But you can't chew those kinds of foods 30 times. They dissolve and it's just bizarre. So, but when you're eating real food like pecan pie, or real mashed potatoes or mushroom gravy that's made really, really well, and you chew that, you'll end up eating less, feeling fuller, and being much more nourished. So I'm going to leave
Making
you with
me
that.
hungry.
I know,
I
me
know,
too.
I'm getting hungry too. Time to go eat.
I love you. I love you all so much. Aloha.
Aloha. Great to
Aloha.
see you all.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're
Bye.
so welcome. We're so glad you're here, honey.
Right.